Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Meet Praneeth. In today's video, we are going to discuss December 22 Visa Bulletin. Some of you might have already gone through the Visa Bulletin or have seen the videos on it. And we know that there is some bad news stored for people who have applied in EB2 category, especially from India. But nevertheless, we'll cover all the aspects that we have seen from this Visa Bulletin, and we'll also see what could be potentially what we can expect in the coming months from uscis. So stay tuned and watch this video till the very end. So let's start with some numbers that we can see from this Visa Bulletin. Now, uscis says that based on their analysis and the amount of visas they have given, they found out that there are only 57,000 visas which would be spilled over from family-based green cards. So that means generally we have 140,000 visas that are used for employment-based, but because there is a spillover of 57,000, that number would be also added to the 140,000 green cards. So that means this time for 2023, we have a total number of 197,000 green cards that would be given to the people who are applying in the employment-based category. Now, I've already done some analysis in the previous videos that only 7% of that number goes to India, and because there is a per country quota, and after that, if there is the spillover from ROW, which is the rest of the world, that numbers are used for the countries like India and China because they're most retrogressed. But the bad news is that in November 2022 Visa Bulletin, USCIS said that there could be a final action date for the ROW, rest of the world. And in December 22 Visa Bulletin, what we see is that yes, there is a final action date. And though that's not bad, it's just 1st November 2022. What it means is that there is around a month of retrogression going on in ROW. But why it's bad for countries like India and China, especially for India, because this means that most of the visas are required in the row are already used up, and that's why there is a retrogression. So there is probably no spillover that would go to countries like India to get their line moving or queue moving ahead. So if we look at the numbers and if we look at the dates, right? So the dates tell us that if you look at the December 2022 dates, and there would be a picture coming on your screen right away. Now that tells us that for row, for first category, that's EB1, it's all current throughout. So no issues there. And it was same in November Visa Bulletin as well. Well, when we look at the second category, that's EB2, we see that there's a final action date, which is 1st November 2022. However, it's not that bad because it's just 1 month. And I'm hopeful that in the coming time, probably as we move ahead and USCIS gets more report on the numbers, this might become current again. Because sometimes what happens is the USCIS sees there is an anticipated high demand, but that demand might decrease as we move forward and let's say less number of people apply in ROW. But it's just in speculation. We can only come to know once we have more visa bulletins coming up in the coming months. Now for the China, it's 8th June 19 for into 22 December, and that is exactly the same as in the November. So that means there's not much retrogression for China. Nothing is changing from November to December. Similarly for El Salvador, again, 1st November 22 becomes the date, which was current in November. But coming to India, that's the most shocking and the most sad story, because there is almost a 7-month retrogression that we can see from the dates that were there in November. So in November, India was at 1st April 2012, but now it has moved back to 8th October 2011. Now that's around 7 months. Now for Mexico, again, 1st November 2022, and Mexico was current in November, and same goes with the Philippines. And I will not cover rest of the categories because the most important ones that we generally focus in this channel are EB1, 2, and 3. So we'll look at 3 as well, which is again the good news. It's current for all chargeability. That means it's current for row, and it was current in November as well. That means there is only a high demand in EB2. Now it could be a good news for people who are even EB3, because there could be a spillover that can go from here and could be applied to EB2 and EB3 for India, which is most retrogressed. But we'll have to see how that number changes in the coming Visa Bulletin. It could be that the demand increases in the row for EB3. Now, why that could happen? Now, you have seen in the previous visa bulletins and in the previous years that people, when they see that there's a high retrogression in EB2, they tend to move to EB3. What happens is those people get out of their EB2 line and go to EB3 or remain in both the lines. That could basically again start to backlog EB3 for row, which the possibility is less because it's only 1 month of retrogression, but you never know. If it starts to increase, people might start to switch from EB2 to EB3. And that could happen for India, that could happen for China as well. Coming to China, it's 1st August 18, it moved 3 months, almost I think, June, July, August, it moved 2 months from the previous date. And it's current for El Salvador, and for India it looks around 15 June 2012, and it also kind of moved from the 1st April 2012. So that means it moved almost April, May, June, so that's almost 3 months. So that's again good news. But you can see why it's happening, because there's heavy retrogression in EB2 and EB3, the retrogression or the number of not many people, or there's not much high demand in that category right now when compared to EB2. It's relative. And coming to the dates for filing, if you look at dates for filing there's a new, probably a picture on your screen. If you look at that, you can clearly see that dates for filing is 1st December 20. That's almost current, because people who have filed, like who have their priority dates around 1st December 2022 can go ahead and start filing. But their visas would be only available once the final action date becomes 1st December. And same with China. If you look at China, again, it remains the same, 8 July 19. I'm not discussing EB1 here because it's current throughout, and I hope it remains current throughout. And we'll definitely discuss this later in the video. If we go to EB2, again, 8 July 2019 for China, same remains in November VISA Bulletin. However, for India, it was 1st May 2012, it remains 1st May. So people who have their priority dates within 1st May 2012 can go ahead and start applying. For rest, it remains current, and for third category also you can see it's almost current, but it moved almost 2 months for China and 1 month for India. From July it became August. But this is again, as I said, it's all because there's a high demand in EB2, and once people start to move to EB3 because they see that EB3 is moving faster, which generally has been the trend before, you can see these numbers changing. But this is very early to say. It's just 2 months into this cycle, so you will get, as I said in the previous video, you'll get a very clear picture only after April or probably in May or June, not before that. So before that, it'll be mostly USCIS trying to figure out how much is the demand and how much is the like say the visas that are available to fulfill that demand. Now coming to some of the statements that USCIS has put in this visa bulletin, and one of the most concerning one is that there could be retrogression in EB1. Yes, you know, my channel has mostly made videos. I have mostly made videos in EB1 category because I think it's current and people should think beyond their profile and see how they can basically target criteria in EB1. But it seems like that EB1, there is a high demand in India and China. Now that's a good news that more and more people are applying in EB1, but that means there could be a retrogression in EB1, and that means there would be no spillover from EB1 to EB2 that further removes or reduces the number of green cards available in EB2. So right now USCIS doesn't say how much or how strong that retrogression would be, but it's possible. And as they indicated that indicated that retrogression thing in November VISA Bulletin, which we saw that in December there was a final action date came for row, it's possible that we might see in January, February a final action date for EB1. However, I would hope that it doesn't happen, because if that happens again, there would be less and less number of spillovers to EB2 and EB3. Now the other things that USCIS is saying in this visa bulletin is very general. They are just saying that there's a high demand for EB2 and for EB3. They're continuously monitoring the situation. They're trying to figure out what is the number of visas available, how many people are in the line, and what could be the spillover that they can use from row to other categories. But as we have seen that there is a final action date, that means the spillover likely would be not there this time, especially in the starting of the month. As I said, USCIS tries to maximize the number of visas mostly after the third quarter, and in that case it could be somewhere around June or probably July. So probably in that area, like from April to June, you will see better numbers, or you might see more retrogression. No one can tell that. Even I think right now USCIS also doesn't know what's the likely change in the dates that you will see. But this is the overall visa bulletin. I think we kind of expected this from the November visa bulletin announcements. But there are two concerning things. The first is that EB2 India has further retrogressed, and it's October 2011, and there could be a likely retrogression in EB1. Try your best to see if you can fit your profile in EB1. There are 10 criteria. I have spoken about them in my videos, and I'm very happy to chat with you. If you have any questions around EB1, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn or maybe drop a comment, and I would be very, very happy to make sure we connect and I help you with your questions. The other thing that I'm planning is planning a live session for EB1, and I will definitely make a plan. I'll put out some dates, and hopefully all of you who have any questions, feel free to join that live session and ask questions, and we can have an interactive live session where we can basically speak about different things, speak about maybe some retrogression that could happen and whatnot. But I think we'll not have any idea about retrogression in EB1 until February or maybe January visa bulletin. So let's aim and let's hope that it doesn't happen, and the 57,000 extra green cards that are there from family based would be able to cover both the raw retrogression and EB1. So hopefully we will have some good news in the coming months. And yes, please like, share, subscribe if you're liking the content, and please drop in the comments and let me know what are the other content, or let's say all the other topics that you want me to cover. I will definitely get back to this series of EB1 with some more videos, some more informative content, and I'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching.